Within 35 minutes, they can have cops at every toll booth on the interstate.
In this list, we're counting down the top 10 thriller movies that you definitely shouldn't miss. Some of them will make you question what's real, some will make your palms sweat, and others will leave you stunned with endings you'll never forget. Our number 10 countdown is Mirage. This is a Spanish mystery thriller directed by Oriol Paulo. The story mixes time travel, love, and suspense in a really clever way. It starts with a young boy in 1989 who witnesses a shocking crime during a thunderstorm. But while he tries to escape, he ends up dying in an accident. Years later, in 2014, a woman named Vera, played by Adriana Ugarte, moves into that same house with her family. On another stormy night, she somehow connects with the past through an old TV and video recorder. She manages to save the boy's life by warning him. But here's the twist. By saving the boy, Vera completely changes her own present. Her husband doesn't know her anymore, her daughter no longer exists, and her whole life is upside down. The rest of the movie follows her desperate journey to get her daughter back, while also dealing with the mystery behind the original crime. The film keeps you guessing the whole time. It's emotional because of Vera's fight for her child, but also mind-bending with all the time loops and alternate realities. If you like movies like The Butterfly Effect or The Invisible Guest, also by Oriol Paulo, you'll probably enjoy this one too.
Friends who can make life uncomfortable for you.
How uncomfortable are we talking?
Our number 9 countdown is I Care a Lot. This is a dark comedy thriller directed by Jay Blakeson. It's stylish, sharp, and kind of disturbing at the same time. The story follows Marla Grayson, played by Rosamund Pike, a professional legal guardian. On paper, her job is to take care of elderly people who can't look after themselves. But in reality, she scams them, taking control of their assets, selling their homes, and pocketing the money. She's ruthless, confident, and doesn't care who she hurts, as long as she wins. Things take a wild turn when she targets Jennifer Peterson, an older woman who seems like the perfect victim. No family, no debts, a nice house, and lots of money. But what Marla doesn't know is that Jennifer has powerful connections, and very dangerous ones. This pulls Marla into a dangerous game with Roman Lunyov, played by Peter Dinklage, a crime boss who will do anything to protect Jennifer. The film is full of clever twists, sharp dialogue, and that cat-and-mouse tension. Rosamund Pike's performance is chilling. She makes Marla both fascinating and frustrating to watch. You hate her, but you also can't look away. What makes I Care a Lot stand out is how it mixes social commentary with thriller vibes. It shows how broken systems can be abused by people who know how to play the game.
Within 35 minutes, they can have cops at every toll booth on the interstate.
Our number 8 countdown is The Next 3 Days. This is a crime thriller directed by Paul Haggis. It stars Russell Crowe, Elizabeth Banks, and Liam Neeson in a gripping story about love, desperation, and how far someone will go for family. The film begins with John Brennan, played by Russell Crowe, an ordinary college professor living a quiet life with his wife, Laura Elizabeth Banks, and their young son. Everything shatters when Laura is suddenly arrested and convicted for murdering her boss. Even though Laura insists she's innocent, the evidence is stacked against her, and she's sentenced to life in prison. At first, John tries to keep hope alive through legal appeals, but nothing works. Slowly, he realizes the system isn't going to save her. That's when he decides to do something unthinkable: break his wife out of prison. The rest of the movie follows John's transformation from a regular guy into a desperate man planning an impossible escape. He studies prison security, learns tricks from an ex-con, played by Liam Neeson, and risks everything, even his own life, to bring his wife back. As the days tick down, the tension builds, and you're left wondering whether he can actually pull it off without getting caught. Our number 7 countdown is the Nile Hilton incident. This is a crime thriller directed by Tariq Saleh. The film is inspired by real events and set in Cairo, just before the 2011 Egyptian Revolution. The story follows Nordin Mostafa, played by Fairs, a police officer in Cairo who is corrupt but still trying to hold on to some sense of justice. One day, he's assigned to investigate the murder of a famous singer found dead in a room at the Nile Hilton Hotel. At first, it looks like a simple case, maybe a crime of passion. But the deeper Nordin digs, the more he realizes this case is tied to powerful businessmen, politicians, and the country's elite. As he tries to uncover the truth, Nordin faces pressure from his superiors to drop the investigation. He's surrounded by a system full of bribery, lies, and fear. The case becomes not just about solving a murder, but about standing up to corruption in a country on the edge of change. The movie has a dark, gritty atmosphere. Cairo is shown as chaotic, tense, and unpredictable, reflecting the political situation of that time. Fairs gives a strong performance, playing a cop who is flawed but also brave enough to push back against forces bigger than him. Our number 6 countdown is The Salvation. This is a Danish Western film directed by Christian Levering, starring Mads Mikkelsen, Eva Green, and Jeffrey Dean Morgan. It brings the classic Wild West vibe, but with a European twist. The story is set in 1870s America. John, played by Mads Mikkelsen, is a Danish immigrant who came to the United States to start a new life. He's been waiting for years to reunite with his wife and young son, and when they finally arrive, it feels like his dream is coming true. But that happiness doesn't last long. On their journey, his wife and child are brutally murdered by ruthless criminals. John kills the men responsible, but in doing so, he unknowingly sets off a chain of revenge. One of the dead men is the brother of a notorious gang leader, Delaru, played by Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Delaru and his gang terrorize the local town, demanding John be handed over. The townspeople, too scared to resist, turn against John. Left with nothing but grief and rage, he has to fight back on his own, standing up against corruption, greed, and pure evil. Our number 5 countdown is The Body. This is a Spanish mystery thriller directed by Oriol Paulo, the same filmmaker who gave us Mirage and The Invisible Guest. Just like those films, it's full of suspense, twists, and a big reveal at the end that flips everything upside down. The story begins with a night guard at a morgue who suddenly dies in shock after seeing something strange. When police arrive, they discover that the body of a recently deceased woman, Micah, played by Bullen Rueda, is missing from the morgue. But here's the catch. She was supposed to be dead from a heart attack, and now her corpse has mysteriously disappeared. Inspector Jamie Pena, Jose Coronado, takes over the case, and his main suspect is Micah's husband, Alex, Hugo Silva. As the investigation goes on, secrets about their marriage come out, affairs, greed, and lies. The more the inspector digs, the more it seems like Alex may have had a hand in his wife's death. But the real question is, how is her body gone? Is someone messing with Alex? Or could Micah actually be alive? The tension builds step by step, and Oriol Paulo keeps the audience guessing with clever misdirections. By the end, the shocking twist ties everything together in a way you don't see coming. Our number 4 countdown is Caliber. This is a British thriller directed by Matt Palmer, and it's one of those tense, slow-burn films that sticks with you long after it ends. The story follows two lifelong friends, Vaughn, Jack Lowden, and Marcus, Martin McCann, who head out to the Scottish Highlands for a weekend hunting trip. Vaughn is about to become a father, and Marcus convinces him this is their last chance to enjoy some freedom. At first, it's just meant to be a fun getaway, a bit of drinking, bonding, and hunting in the woods. But everything takes a dark turn when a hunting accident goes horribly wrong. In a split second, they make a decision that changes everything, and instead of coming clean, they try to cover it up. From that moment, the film turns into a nerve-wracking spiral of lies, guilt, and paranoia. The local villagers, who at first seem friendly, slowly start to sense something is off. Tension keeps rising as Vaughn and Marcus struggle with their conscience while trying to act normal. The beauty of the Highlands contrasts with the darkness of what's happening, making the whole movie feel even more unsettling.
Son ellos o nosotros.
Our number 3 countdown is Cell 211 is a Spanish prison thriller directed by Daniel Monzon, and it's often called one of the best prison films of modern times. It's tense, emotional, and brutally realistic. The story begins with Juan Oliver, played by Alberto Ammon, a young man who has just been hired as a prison guard. Wanting to make a good impression, he decides to visit the prison a day before officially starting his job. But during his tour, a violent riot suddenly breaks out, and Juan gets injured inside one of the cells. When he wakes up, the only way to survive is to pretend to be a new inmate. He hides his true identity and blends in with the prisoners. The leader of the riot, Malamadra, played by Luis Tosar, is a powerful and feared inmate who quickly takes Juan under his wing. While outside, the prison authorities and police try to negotiate. Juan is stuck in the middle, caught between loyalty to the inmates who believe he's one of them, and his real life as a guard on the other side of the bars. The film is full of tension, moral dilemmas, and shocking twists. It's not just about the action inside the prison, but also about corruption, injustice, and how people change when pushed to the edge.
The police can have the center of the city sealed tight in 15 minutes.
Our number 2 countdown is The Next 3 Days is a suspense thriller directed by Paul Haggis, starring Russell Crowe, Elizabeth Banks, and Liam Neeson. It's a mix of crime drama, romance, and edge-of-your-seat tension. The film follows John Brennan, Russell Crowe, a quiet college professor whose life is turned upside down when his wife, Laura, Elizabeth Banks, is arrested and convicted for murdering her boss. Even though she swears she's innocent, the evidence against her is overwhelming, and she's sentenced to life in prison. At first, John believes the system will clear her name, but after years of failed appeals, he realizes nothing is changing. That's when he makes a radical choice. He's going to break her out. The story then shifts from courtroom drama to a carefully planned prison escape. John, who has no criminal background, slowly transforms himself. He studies security systems, learns from an ex-con, Liam Neeson in a brief but powerful role, and practices every detail of the escape. The tension builds as he risks everything, his job, his freedom, and even his child's future, for the chance to save his wife.
You want to be sure. Are you sure?
Our number 1 countdown is Gone Baby Gone is a crime drama directed by Ben Affleck, based on the novel by Dennis Lehane. It's a gritty, emotional film that dives into tough moral questions. The story follows Patrick Kinsey, Casey Affleck, and Angie Gennaro, Michelle Monaghan, 2 private investigators in Boston. They're hired to look into the disappearance of a little girl, Amanda, who has gone missing from her neighborhood. At first, it looks like a straightforward kidnapping, but as Patrick and Angie dig deeper, they realize the case is tied to drugs, crime, and corruption. The police, led by Detective Remy Bressant, Ed Harris, and Captain Jack Doyle, Morgan Freeman, are also involved, but Patrick and Angie soon find themselves going down a darker path. Every lead raises new questions, and nothing is as simple as it seems. The closer they get to the truth, the more dangerous it becomes, and the harder the choices get. What makes Gone Baby Gone so powerful is its moral weight. The film doesn't just ask, who took the child, but also, what's the right thing to do when the truth is complicated? By the end, Patrick faces a heart-wrenching decision that sparks debate long after the credits roll.